Hi everyone, Kelsey here. I just wanted to express my gratitude to all of you for your support of the Rosenbach all year round, but especially over the last couple of months. It means so much to us. And on behalf of the staff, I just wanted to say happy Rosenbacchanal, and we cannot wait to be back on Delancey Place with all of you again. We look forward to that day. Thanks so much.
Thank you for everything you do to make our work at the Rosenbach possible.
Thank you for supporting the work we do with schools and families.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosenbach.
Thank you. Hi, Rosen family. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, everybody. I hope everyone's enjoying the virtual Rosenbacchanal. Thanks so much for coming out tonight, and I look forward to seeing all of you back at the Rosenbach.
Hi, this is Steve, and I just want to express my appreciation for all the support you've given the Rosenbach during these unusual times, and let you know how eager I am to greet you once again on an evening when face-to-face programs start up once again. I'll see you at the Rosenbach.
Hi, my name is Bethany, and I am the manager of events for the Rosenbach. I just want to say thank you so much for your support as we've transitioned the Rosenbacchanal, our largest fundraiser of the year, into the virtual Rosenbacchanal. Because of your generosity, we are so close to making our goal. And I really just cannot express how honored I am to be part of the Rosenbach community. All of our members, donors, friends, guides, staff members are really what make this place so special. And I cannot wait to see you all at another event very soon.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Peter Nalle, chair of the Rosenbach, and welcome to the 2020 Rosenbacchanal. I certainly wish I were there to shake your hand personally, to drink a glass of wine with you, and to participate in what should have been a wonderful live event this year, but that will have to wait until next year. In the meantime, I'd like to thank the Rosenbacchanal Committee, headed so ably by Gage Johnston and Pam Schreiber, who worked so diligently to pull together a good and wonderful live event, and equally hard work in pulling together this digital event. Thanks go also to the Rosenbach staff, who have worked so diligently over the past weeks to migrate all the Rosenbach's offerings from their usual live presentation to a virtual world. If you haven't done so already, I would urge you to go to rosenbach.org and sign up for one of the read-alouds, one of the courses, one of the other programs, perhaps Ulysses, the Ulysses Daily Read, and I think you'll find it a wonderful, wonderful thing. The Rittenhouse Hotel, I would like to thank. They've been so gracious and easy to work with during this difficult time. I hope we'll see them back next year. Moore Brothers as well. We're going to miss their wines. I hope you're enjoying a glass at home as you watch this event. And finally, we have to thank most especially Mia Concepcion, the Philadelphia Youth Poet Laureate, who was to be the guest of honor tonight and will be virtually, but who was looking forward to, I know, presenting her work before you all in a live setting. She has very graciously agreed to do so now virtually, and we appreciate that tremendously. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Derek Dreher, the host for tonight's activities. Thank you very much, and I hope you'll continue to keep the Rosenbach in your thoughts and support us to the extent that you possibly can. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Like so many of you, I'm working from home these days, just as my son William, like so many school children, is finishing 3rd grade from home these days. There's no question we'd rather be out. William has been to the Rosenbacchanal several times in his young years, and he and I and all of us hope that we can come together sometime soon, perhaps later this fall, perhaps next spring. We know we'll be back together, enjoying one another's company. But in the meantime, there's still every reason to support and celebrate the Rosenbach. William has had the good fortune to study the works of Phyllis Wheatley in the original editions at the Rosenbach. And although he can't do that right now, he has been able to take advantage of lessons built around Phyllis Wheatley's work online. So the Rosenbach is bringing resources to its community despite its front doors being closed. One of the reasons we're able to do that is because of the support that you and other registrants for the Rosenbacchanal are providing. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. For me, for my family, that's a real reason why we enjoy supporting the Rosenbach as well. I also want to mention our special guest this evening, Youth Poet Laureate Mia Concepcion. We can't be in the room with Mia together, but we can enjoy her work tonight. And there's a real continuum that exists between the work of young voices today, such as Mia's, and young voices from history, such as that of Phyllis Wheatley. The Rosenbach brings these things together and draws a line between them, making the historic ones relevant in a way that matters to all of us. In closing, I want to thank a couple of people whose help was so important in putting this event together. First and foremost, the Rosenbacchanal Committee, led by co-chairs Gage Johnston and Pam Schreiber, and then the many staff members who helped create the event, first planned as a regular in-person, in real-life event, and then planned as a virtual event. I'll mention just one of them, the excellent Bethany Chisholm, without whom we couldn't have done this at all. So thank you, Bethany, and thank you, all of you, for supporting the Rosenbach. We'll see you back there again soon enough.
Hello, I am Mia Concepcion, and I am the current Youth Poet Laureate of Philadelphia for the 2019-2020 school year. And this winter, I was honored to be invited to see a collection of works at the Rosenbach. And the experience was really thrilling because as a writer, I've always dreamt of holding 100-year-old works in my hands, and I was able to do that there. And I write poetry in a lot of different ways, mostly performative slam poetry, but seeing this collection really inspired me to write a poem about the Rosenbach. I was just left in awe of how brave these young writers were, especially after reading and holding a first edition of Phyllis Wheatley's published poems. It was also really exciting to read a draft of Lord Byron's poem compared to his final draft, because I could really relate to the self-revisions and constant editing of one's own poetry when it's still in the drafting stages. So, without further ado, this is my poem dedicated to the Rosenbach. Behind these walls is a history. Shelves of books lining this home. They speak the untold stories of Phyllis Wheatley, how she traced death from tomb to tomb, mourning babies, infants, her own freedom. Her words published of agony and sorrow, she spoke of souls being pulled from Africa. She dared to speak of freedom long before she was granted it. My chest suddenly feels so tight and my world so small. As I hold in my hands an 18th century spine, somehow it exists beneath my fingertips, being viewed by me. I find it hard to speak, to utter out questions because it took my breath away. Behind these walls is a monument to writers. Overflowing with manuscripts, books, and documents, they tell all the tales. Of Manjaro, a young Japanese boy who became shipwrecked, then rescued by American whalers. He paints the story of his journey from castaway to diplomat, one of the first Japanese people to visit the United States. Through calligraphy, he etched his life onto page after page, making thin brushstrokes on thin paper, light as a feather. He detailed the whales and ships he encountered. Beneath my eyes lies his entire life, inscribed into print, its book binded and etched with a green leaf pattern. I find it hard to imagine the 100-year-old words suddenly resting before me. The Lord Byron poem, his draft with scratched out lines and the final product beside it. Still these works by these writers echo in my mind. Reverberations in their words of heaven, of death, of the human condition.
Good evening to you, and a good evening wherever you are. I so wish we were together celebrating this wonderful occasion. I actually wish we were all together in the Rosenbach Museum and Library. That space is so special and is so important to you and to all of us. I was there just last year at the invitation of the director, reviewing a book that I had written. But afterwards, Derek, as he does from time to time, took me up and through the rooms in the house to show me some of the great treasures. Of course, I love Byron, and I love Samuel Johnson and Boswell, and so he pulls some of those great, wonderful works from the shelves so that I could marvel and even hold one or two in my hand. I live with the influence of Mr. Rosenbach. He had an incredible influence on so many collectors who defined my own sensibilities about collecting. In my hand here, I have a wonderful copy that Mr. Rosenbach sold to one of his clients in 1818. It's a wonderful copy of Rasselas by Samuel Johnson. This copy was once owned by Mrs. Hester Thrale. And to think that over the course of Mr. Rosenbach's life, this copy exchanged the hands of two other collectors. And now, all of these decades later, it's here in my own personal library of Johnsonia. Boy, incidents, accidents, providence. That's life. And that's collecting. I also want to end with you this evening by sharing a beautiful little verse from Tennyson, from his poem In Memoriam. And this is from a very small Moroccan volume that was once owned by Arthur Hoden, a great client of Mr. Rosenbach. Oh, not for thee, the glow, the bloom, who's charged not against the gale, nor branding summer sun avail to touch thy 1,000 years of gloom. We have but faith. We cannot know, for knowledge is of things we see, and yet we trust it comes from thee. A beam in darkness, let it grow. Let knowledge grow from more to more, but more of reverence in us dwell, that mind and soul, according well, may make one music as before. May we all make one music as we celebrate this remarkable institution and help it to live and to create even a greater legacy.
Hi Rosenbach, friends and community. Hope everyone is doing well in times of pandemic. My favorite thing about being at the Rosenbach is the people who are there. All the people I've met who not only work there but guide there just like me. And I'm very lucky, since I can't be with all of you, that I get to live with one of those wonderful people.
Indeed. How long has it been now, Mary, that we met at our first docent class?
Approximately 4.5 years, January.
Oh, look at us. Did we properly celebrate our anniversary?
I don't think we did.
Oh dear. Well, cheers to us.
Cheers to us.
And cheers to the Rosenbach that brought us together.
We are, of course, strictly drinking scotch during this pandemic.
Dr. R's favorite.
Not because it's the only thing we have on hand, but
Never.
because we love Dr. Rosenbach.
That's true.
And we are as close as we can come to Printer's Mark's glasses. Jane Eyre. So we like to keep the spirit of the Rosenbach with us at all times.
Indeed, it's even informed our quarantine activities.
Such as?
Watching endless versions of BBC's adaptations of Jane Austen. Quiet reading. More scotch.
That about sums it up.
Indeed.
Hope you all are enjoying as equally a wonderful time. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you again soon.
Hi, Rosenbach family. I hope you all are doing well and staying safe and healthy. I totally miss you. I cannot believe it's been 2 months since I've stepped foot in the Rosenbach. I am sorely missing the building, the collection, the magic, and all of you. Thank you for letting me say hello. And just wanted to give a shout out to our leadership. I really appreciate the privilege of being a part of the Rosenbach. And also the welcome that volunteers receive. We're allowed to contribute. We're allowed to share our knowledge. We really feel like we're a part of the community. And I hear from my other docents that, docent friends around the city, that's kind of rare. So I just really appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, especially Andrew, for opening up so many channels. My life has really changed because of the Rosenbach. I'm actually going into museum studies for real. So that's an interesting journey. But I hope you all are doing well. Miss you a ton. And let's hope that this Rosenbacchanal is just amazing. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, I'm Julia Hatmaker. I'm one of the many guides at the Rosenbach. I'm a volunteer. I've been volunteering for a little over a year, and the Rosenbach is still one of my absolute favorite places to be in Philadelphia. Things I love about the Rosenbach. Well, to be honest with you, it's not just about the books, although the books are awesome. And if you have not been to a hands-on tour, you have to go, because seeing the books is cool, touching them is even better. But the thing I love most about the Rosenbach is all the history, because every object there, every painting, every sculpture has a story to tell, and it's my privilege to be able to share some of those stories with our guests. The object I like talking about the most, though, is probably the Davenant patent, which is down on the first floor. The Davenant patent is an item, it's a royal proclamation that basically says William Davenant can open up theaters in London, and what is more, he can cast women on stage so they can be performing. This is the document that basically lets Meryl Streep happen, which means it's the best document that's ever existed in history, am I right? The things, there's a lot of cool things with the Davenant patent, not only because of like the theaters and stuff like that, but there's, the question of like, why do you have to reopen theaters? And that means we get to go back in time and talk about the English Civil War and about how Oliver Cromwell came in and like abolished the theaters and Christmas. He's like the OG Grinch. And then, from there we get to talk about how Charles II came in and he's all like, yo, let's have Christmas, let's do theaters. And I have a lot of mistresses, which is just really fun to talk about with people. And it also is a little personal interest to me because Charles II is, through one of those mistresses, one of my ancestors way down the line. So it doesn't really count, but I do like being able to talk about his family and that as well. It's always a really good time, and it's nice to kind of have a moment to educate people about history, but also just tell them a little bit more about the items we have in our collection. And it really transitions well if we want to go then talk about the Fanny Kemble portrait that's right by it, because she, of course, is an actress and she absolutely crushes it in that field. And then she also has her whole thing about how she goes on to write a book that chronicles her life on a plantation where she talks about how awful slavery is. There's a lot of really awesome items on the first floor. I could go on forever, but if you have a chance, I hope to take you on one of a tour and be able to show you these things and tell you these stories in person. I wish I could be at the Rosenbach right now, as I'm sure we all do, but I hope everyone is having a fantastic virtual Rosenbacchanal, and I hope to see you all again soon in the library.
Hey, greetings. I'm missing you all. I'm missing the guests. I'm missing the visitors, the curators, and you Delancey Society members. Welcome to you all. While the virus is here and the museum is shut down. I'm having fun working out in the gardens, enjoying the sunshine. I miss the buzz, the noise. Everybody knows how amazing the Rosenbach Museum is, but I want you all to know they've got a special place outside in the backyard. It's one of the last enclosed gardens in our neighborhood, and we need to take it back. It's a great space. Come visit.
Finding friends. The people I love the best are cheerfully ambiguous about being people. They'd rather be butterflies or bodiless voices in the eye of a hurricane. I love people who have fission for breakfast and fusion for brunch, who go for a spin inside the centrifuge of love before taking a nap. The work of the world is putting on a hairnet to catch your strays. I want to be with people who recite unholy poems on holy days, who write songs with the eyelashes of oysters, who turn the world inside out.
Hey there, cool cats and kittens. Like most of you, I've been thinking a lot recently about the Federalist Papers, and in particular Federalist 46, where Madison discusses the relationship between the nation and the states. He says the states will always be primary, and the federal government secondary. Now, it hasn't worked out that way. American constitutional history has been a steady rise of the federal government and eclipse of the states. In part, this is because of constitutional amendments, like the 16th and the 17th. But it's also because the federal government turned out to be better than the states in some ways. The federal government could tackle the Great Depression. The federal government could lead the fight for civil rights. And Madison saw this possibility. If, he said, the people should in future become more partial to the federal than to the state governments, the change can only result from such manifest and irresistible proofs of a better administration as will overcome all their antecedent propensities. And in that case, the people ought not surely to be precluded from giving most of their confidence, where they may discover it to be most due. But what I've been thinking recently is this may not be a one-way street.
Hi to the Friends of the Rosenbach Museum. My name is Rebecca Romney. I am a rare book dealer at Type Punch Matrix in Washington, D.C. And to celebrate the Rosenbacchanal, I would like to tell a story of a rare book dealer. And not that rare book dealer. I want to talk about a few others, spread the love around a little bit of my trade ancestors. So today I'm going to tell you the story of Leona Rosenberg and Madeline Stern discovering Louisa May Alcott's pseudonym that she first used in writing Blood and Thunder stories. Very, very different from Little Women, but that no one had actually discovered and traced directly to her before. This happened in 1942. They're researching at the Houghton Library, and they describe it in old books and rare friends. This is Leona speaking. I busied myself with box 2 of the Alcott manuscripts. After contemplating a brief dossier from an Alcott third cousin in Syracuse referring to inflated prices, I tossed it aside and espied a small clutch of letters that seemed to belong together. As I picked one of them up, I immediately felt hot and cold and strangely faint. The letter was dated January 21st, 1865. It was addressed to Dear Miss Alcott, and it said, "You may send me anything in either the sketch or novelette line that you do not wish to father, or that you wish Anne Barnard or any other man to be responsible for. And if they'll suit me, I'll purchase them. Let me hear from you. Very truly yours, J.R. Eliot." My wild war whoop shattered the dignified silence of the manuscript room of the Houghton Library. Miss Jakeman, the librarian, stared reprovingly. Maddie dropped her pencil. I scarcely believed my eyes. Now I knew the pseudonym. I also knew the name of the publisher. Mr. Eliot was surely the E of Louisa May Alcott's diary. After an intermission of congratulation, hilarity, and several cigarettes, we returned to our seats, and I meticulously copied every word of every one of the batch of 5 letters written by J.R. Eliot to Dear Miss Alcott. Happy Rosenbacchanal.
Rosenbach, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth of thy collections, from Bram's vampiric notes to Jimmy Joyce's crooked scrawl. I love the Rosenstaff and their heroic hours of toil by day and night to bring to light these books and pages of literary delight. I love our guides who lead the curious up the stairs and through the house with tales of Abe and Philip. And I love our members who come by the score to listen to us, to read with us, and to touch the books and revel in the biblio-life of the Rosenbach. I miss you all, and I'll see you soon.
Michael Toner once again, and as you can see in the background, that is my understudy, some Coolshy from Stratford-on-Avon. I understand he's flunking out of RADA. Well, what can you do? Anyhow, I'm going to do another piece from James Joyce's novel, or piece of music, or perhaps it's a dream, or maybe all three at once, and many, many other things besides. James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. This is the very ending, and then leading us to the very beginning. So, Ave Laval, my leaves have drifted from me, all, but one clings still. I'll bear it on me to remind me of live. So soft this morning hours. Yes. Carry me along, Taddy, like you done through the toy fair. If I seen him bearing down on me now, under white spread wings, like he'd come from archangels, I think I'd die down over his feet, humbly-dumbly, only to wash up. Yes, Tid, there's where, first, we pass through grass, be hush, the bush, to whoosh, a gull. Gulls. Fair calls. Coming fair. End here. Us then. Fin again. Take. Softly. Remember me. Till thousands thee. Lips. The keys too. Given. Away. Alone. Last. Loved. Along the river run. Past even Adams. From swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Hoath Castle and environs.